good day and welcome to a new video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe! Hello and welcome today. You're joined by me, Daniel, your host, as I say. And also we've got a guest in Jorry Rosman.
Yeah.
Awesome, and you can check his work out there at artstation.com/Rosman. Awesome. So yeah, I've got painting in the background that I'm playing. That's kind of the format I've always been doing. And this is like the last page of my book that I'm creating. Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about yourself?
I'm a concept artist, currently freelance for films and games, mostly games, but some films. And I've been doing that for quite a while now. Looking at my CV right now. Started off studying biology. That didn't really pan out too well because of maths. I'm really bad at maths, and then I decided to make a living out of my hobby, just drawing weird stuff and worlds and sci-fi and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Yeah, so how long you actually been doing it for?
Quite a while. I've been freelancing for almost 4 years now, but I started off after my education as a junior concept artist at Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam. Maybe you know them?
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they made the Killzone series and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Started doing that in 2010 as an intern at my education, and then 2012 I started there as a regular concept artist. Did it for 3 years till 2015, and now I'm freelancing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Before that, I even had a very small period of doing designs for a theme park in between education. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was it a big theme park?
It was a company that was just doing theming for theme parks, kids indoors, all that kind of stuff. So also a zoo, which is close to my heart because I like zoos. And I did it for a few months because when I quit art school, because I went to art school in Rotterdam for a year. That was like the super hardcore art school, and it was a little fake, and all these artsy peoples. And then the first day when I told one of the teachers, like, hey, I want to be a concept artist, he was like, oh, you want to draw soldiers all day? And I'm like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah, they had no know-how, which kind of became a theme during my whole education. But in the end, I kind of made it, and now I'm here.
Well, back like maybe 10 years ago, it was relatively new, you know, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was known there was a lot of this kind of, you know, Jurassic Park, how they made Jurassic Park and those kind of things coming out that were kind of, people were getting more familiar with what they kind of do. But yeah, it was definitely, you know, around those years, 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of relatively new to people what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great that, you know, times have changed. I quite, it looks cool that you've worked on Horizons Zero Dawn. I mean, that looks like a great game, you know, with the kind of robotic creatures and things.
Sure.
What kind of thing did you work on for that?
Mostly environments. I do specialize in environments. I can do characters, but not really my passion. I like environments and creatures.
Awesome.
The robots were designed by a whole separate team of very talented guys, like three guys, 4 guys, maybe even. It's been a while. They were just doing full-time robots, and the robots look really expensive, like very intricate. So a lot of design work there, but I mostly designed the environments. And if you look at my ArtStation, there is like this tribe called the Banuk who live in like an icy landscape. That was like the main focus of my time at Horizon Zero Dawn. especially in pre-production. And then after we went in production, there's of course a lot of just on-the-spot problem solving that's either not allowed in my ArtStation or not exciting enough, because ArtStation tends to be just the exciting parts of concept art, which is like maybe 10% of the work. So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, it is one of those sites, you know, you put all the good stuff on there.
Yeah, I do call it illustration station sometimes because there's hardly any concept art on there. If you want to look at real concept art, I mean, it can be done in like an hour or maybe like half a day. So it's not very wise to post that, because people tend to not react on that all that well. You know, they see a picture and if it's not pretty, they just go to the next guy. But yeah, it's part of having an internet personality. You have to put your best work on there.
Yeah, that's one. That's why sometimes I don't post everything and everything.
Yeah.
But you know, on some sites I do, like for instance Instagram. Sometimes I post a lot of stuff on there. Because it's one of those more sharing kind of sites, I feel, you know.
Yeah, I am planning to make an Instagram, but I haven't really gotten to it yet. And of course, you have to have multiple portfolios. Like the ArtStation one is just your best work, but then also clients ask for like, hey, can you sketch, or can you do quick mood paints like 3D? And then I do have an offline portfolio that I send them with all that stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so you use a lot of ArtStation. Do you use many other social medias?
No, not really. Back in the days, I used to use like Facebook to announce that I posted something on ArtStation. You know, just a little link. God, I fucking hate Facebook. By the way,
Yeah.
It's so draining. But I think Facebook kind of died the last few years, so now it's just a reminder about people's birthday, mostly for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. And it's all people I don't know. So I have like 3 birthdays a day. Like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it used to be like a way. There was a very small period when there were art directors on there, but not anymore. I think it's Instagram now. That's might get a bit more traffic. Yeah.
I mean, each, you know, with Facebook, there's groups and things that are for that kind of thing, but in the end, sometimes that doesn't even, you know, grab any attention or anything. Sometimes, most of the time for me, when I'm looking through Facebook, it's mostly, you know, this has happened, or you know, your birthday notifications and things like that. There's not, you know, a huge amount of art on there or things like that, but
no, not anymore. There used to be. I've unfollowed I just unfollow a lot of people because I don't like everything to be cluttered, and especially at some point Facebook was showing stuff from their friends of people I really didn't know. So I unfollowed basically everything, and now it's just birthdays, science facts, and nature facts, and that's fine, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's been your favorite project to work on?
That's a very tough question, because I've worked on a couple of projects, of course, and they all kind of had their charm. Horizon was pretty fun in the beginning when it was still like the blue sky phase and everything was there to be explored, even though I feel we didn't do that enough. For me, what's still very iconic was Kills and Shadowfall, because it was my first game where I really started from the beginning all the way until gold. And then, of course, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, because it was my first movie and it was a big movie, and like Jurassic Park is my favorite movie ever. So that was like closest I could get to actually working on Jurassic Park. So, yeah,
awesome.
I think those 3 were amazing.
Man, that must have felt like a dream, you know, working on that.
Yeah, it was very surreal, because I wasn't really experienced in working at movies. I did a few via an outsourced studio, but they were just like these weird Asian movies that we will never see here in the West. And they were just very small, like, hey, can you design a little temple? Or this is like a one set design, right? But for Fallen Kingdom. That's designing a pretty big portion of the movie with a very talented team. I really felt like I was punching above my weight. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a super cool learning experience, and I even got to visit the studio. So it was like one big like dream. And even sometimes when I recently went to a zoo where they had like a dino park, and they had like the Jurassic World team playing there. Not sure if they copyrighted it, but oh well. And I was like, then I just realized back there, like, hey, I was like a super small part of that. It just kicked in. You tend to forget how special it is, because it's also a job, you know. But it was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get the tough work done as well, you know. In the end. Awesome. Yeah, what else have I got? Oh, what mediums do you use?
This all means to an end then. It's also a question I get a lot when I'm applying to a studio.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how do you do it? And it all depends on even before when I start sketching, or even if I start sketching, it's already an option, because I do a mix of 3D and 2D, and lately I tend to move more to 3D, because those programs, I just learned like last week. I learned Blender and Octane.
Oh, awesome!
And those are super accessible. Yeah, it's amazing. Blender is pretty. I used to model everything in SketchUp, but it's like an archaic program that you have to fight.
Yeah.
You might be familiar with it. And then so I started learning Blender also because it's free, but it's also really good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I can render in Eevee, like in a new Blender 2.8, but it felt a bit like it does like very like foggy nights with a lot of wet surfaces pretty well, but indoor and just daylight outdoor not that great. So I was looking into a new renderer program, and then I bought some tutorials about Octane, and I was instantly hooked. It's amazing. But to answer your question, depends on the subject matter. So if I'm doing mood paints, I might not even use 3D. I just photo bash or just paint based on my reference. But then when I have to design something that's more like architectural or a vehicle, or is later in the production line where it's like part of the level design, I tend to block out things in 3D, because you have the added benefit of being able to just walk around it and look from all the angles. And also, if the art director wants to see like a different angle, you don't have to make a whole new drawing. It's like, all right, let me render that for you, and then 5 minutes later you got a whole new image to show. So it means to an end really, but definitely a combination of 3D and 2D.
Yeah, I mean, it's very helpful. I did learn 3D. I was into like Blender and learning Blender and things like that. I even went to the library and got like Blender Guru. Those dummies, Blender for Dummies books and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one for Blender, and that kind of got into everything about Blender. It was kind of a bit above my head. It was more about like the engine and all this other stuff you can do with Blender. But it was a fun learning experience.
Yeah, it sounds hardcore though, learning it from a book. Because for me, I learned it via YouTube. This Blender guru, and I think his name is Gleb Alexandrov.
Yeah,
it's like Creative Shrimp. He's a really funny guy. You should definitely sub to him if you are into Blender. But I tried to just follow along with the YouTube films, right? So it's very easy for me. I learned by doing it. And then my tip would be, if you want to learn like a software, just do like 1 or 2 beginner tutorials so you know where all the buttons are. And then just set a goal for yourself. Like, don't try to just make Blender donuts, but also something more. There's even a Reddit that is dedicated to people's Blender donuts. It's amazing. But but also try to make something more complicated so you run into problems. And for me, when I start running into problems and Googling about those problems in the software, that's when I really start to learn.
Yeah, it's all experimentation. I mean, I was doing the same thing. I was learning through YouTube as well. The one you mentioned, I'm pretty sure that I looked through there, because you know everything I was like I was creating a robot, so I was creating like metal, how to texture metal, all those things. It's very interesting. Um, but these days I don't really do 3D anymore. I like to just draw and create painting and stuff like that now. I guess that 3D I'm kind of not too interested in.
And that's because you're more of an illustrator, right?
Yeah, I like to just draw characters and yeah. But I mean, I can see, you know, the use in it. Like I may, you know, download Blender and just do like maybe, you know, 5 or 10 minutes just creating a simple character out of like shapes, just to maybe, you know, try and see it from a different angle and like try and get the lighting and things a bit more.
Yeah,
Correct.
especially the lighting, because it's all part of the comp. For me, that's exactly what you say. Like, you don't have to model something all the way and to point of like completion, but just to get a quick perspective and mood and lighting in 3D is for me is so much faster than having to like figure it out.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a helpful tool that you can use, which is it's great to have that, and it's free. So you know, I
Yeah,
recommend it to anyone. You know, it's free. I found it like real easy to use. All you have to do is kind of like mold shapes, and you can put shapes together, um,
hmm
and yeah, you can
yeah,
really learn how to edit it real easy. So it was lots of fun to use that.
yeah, yeah. I think if you are like an aspiring concept artist, definitely go into 3D. I don't think there are that well maybe more illustrators. Like I know at CD Projekt Red, they have like a bunch of illustrators and then a bunch of concept artists, and they're kind of like different types of. But if you want to be like a concept artist, if you want to be fast, be meaningful to the production, definitely learn 3D because it's such a tremendous help for you and also for the people that have to work with your product.
Awesome. Were you always like interested in doing backgrounds, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I never really did characters. I use characters for scale or for story elements. Yeah, it's just something I always gravitated towards, like environments, and even as a child.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I think it's good to specialize in a way. Like the bigger in games, look for specialists or principals, but also make sure to be able to do characters at least a little bit.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's nice to have a great like, you know, environment, but you've got to see, you know, how your character will look in that environment. You know, you might have this kind of flat kind of environment with like really dark lighting, but a really like light character with, you know, nice mooding to it. You know, they might not fit together. But yeah, it's great to learn,
Yeah,
you know, all the different, you know, aspects of it. Um, at times, you know, learning, for me, I've had to learn a lot about painting landscapes and, you know, painting backgrounds and things, which is something that I still feel I lack at compared to, you know, doing characters. But I feel it does, you know, help to learn about those things, because when it comes to doing things like this, doing children's books and creating scenes, it's really helpful to portray that.
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, just learn a bit of everything. Become a master in one thing. That's kind of best.
Yeah, dabble in a few things, master one thing. um,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel when I was doing education for hardcore art school, like I did it for just a year, but then I went to HKU in Holland. It was like the first game art education ever, and they were really just like, yeah, you gotta know everything. You gotta be like a jack of all trades. And I guess that worked for them because they were really catering, like working in super small indie studios. Like maybe if you're part of a 10 people, but if you want to work in AAA or double A or whatever, I do that. Being a jack of all trades also means being a master of none. And if you work in specialized teams, you do have to like a master of one part of at least one part. There are people who are a master at everything, but I mean, don't go comparing yourself to those guys. That's not a good idea, but at least be a master. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, each their own. Some people are, a jack of all trades and find it pretty good, because they can get.
But they do tend to work in smaller productions.
But they can get like more other jobs. Like they could be doing, 3D design characters one week, and they could be doing 2D designs of environments another week. They could.
Dabble in this. If that's what you like, then that's cool. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't get to AAA though. Never.
Sorry.
But the way of working doesn't get you a job in AAA. I think I haven't really. I mean, if we were working on Killzone or on Horizon, there was like at least 200. So yeah, everyone's super special.
200 working on that game.
Yeah, that's just in the studio. I think there's like double that amount if you count all the outsourcers, freelance. Yeah, it's a big production.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that go into it. It's yeah. It's interesting to see that they hear about some studios they've only got like 10, 15 people, and then you hear about these other bigger ones that have so much people and full of them. Have you worked for many like small companies or many big ones?
No, just the big ones really. That's because I'm specialized in doing this one piece. You tend to work for. Yeah. I mean, it could be fun working at a smaller team. I think there's also specialized work to be done there, mostly on a freelance basis. Yeah, mostly big. I mean, don't ask me to make a 3D model that's game ready. All the 3D I do is just for the concept art, so it's super dirty, lots of polys or weird textures. Like,
yeah. That's pretty cool. Do you see much of your work go further?
Yeah, that's the fun thing. Working at a game studio, you get to like you hand over your work to whoever's gonna make it, a 3D artist or the environment, and you kind of you just see it just evolve and be part of the game, and that's a really cool experience. And then for Jurassic World, there were some designs that were also just one-on-one. From my design in the movie and seeing your on the big screen in the cinema, that was pretty surreal. I'm sure there's people used to that, but for me it was like, whoa, I made that. And I think that's part of why I'm not an illustrator or doing books. I really like designing stuff, seeing just in like some big production like a game or people being able to walk around it, especially in games. That's why I do concept art. That's special. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see that. I mean, I love for me. I love to actually take it from start to finish. Seeing the final piece, what the final thing's actually gonna look like. Rather than the actual just the idea, the concept. for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool to also do that, because I did a few. I was doing like little kind of fun little studio kind of thing that I was doing. It was just kind of what do you call it? Fun job. I don't know how to say it. Unpaid opportunity, I guess.
Unpaid opportunity, huh?
Yeah, well, it's just kind of a bit of fun, you know. It was kind of me learning, and things like that. So I was doing some concepts for them, and it was interesting to actually see them take my interpretation and then put their interpretation on top, to see the final result of the character. Yeah, it was lots of fun. It's kind of
course, there's the aspect. Sorry.
So what were you saying?
There's also like the flip side of the coin is that there's lots of occasions where you design something, or you are in the middle of designing something, and then it just gets like scrapped or totally changed. You kind of have to like keep that in mind, because I really don't mind, but I know there's people who can be like a bit sad about their designs not making it to the final. I think like 70% of our concept art never makes it to the end stage. So yeah, it's normal, right? Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of I mean, that's always the thing. Also with freelancer, like this sense of ownership about. It's good to feel like responsible for your designs, but don't get married to your designs. Because in games, lots of your designs are prone to change. So yeah, part of the job.
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to be a little less connected to your concept work, because you know it is going to go through that whole process of they're going to take your piece and, you know, push it into whatever it's going to be after, you know, the final processes. So, you know, you kind of have to let go of all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a story about Killzone 3 where a guy designed a vehicle, and then it's only seen for 2 seconds in game in like a cutscene before it explodes. He worked like 3 weeks on it, and then it just explodes in 2 weeks. But I think that's also part of the charm. It's funny.
Oh my gosh, yeah, awesome. Do you do a lot of personal work as well, or?
I used to do quite while doing freelancing. You don't work all. At least I didn't. So in like downtime, you tend to learn new stuff to be faster or better, and do your own personal stuff. Also to kind of make your portfolio better. So that's why I did like the Dino series, right? Like the DD, which is a bad name because it's stolen from DayZ. But hey, it's a working title. Yeah, that really was my pet project, and I like whenever I'm working, like when I worked full, there wasn't a lot of time for that. It was also distracting. But when you're freelancing, yeah, there's time for personal work, and I think there's also a certain necessity to do personal work. Because you and this is a touchy subject for a lot of people. You kind of have to like what do you call it? Improving, kind of posting for you to stay relevant in a way. It sounds harsh, but if you post something, you kind of tend to be in the spotlight, and then you might land a job. And for me, it was interesting, and also I did have a bit of what we call like portfolio anxiety, where I'm like, I didn't post for a while. I have to make something new, but I was just doing freelance all. So there wasn't really need for that. I was working, but still, like, oh my god, I have to. And being able to kind of get out of that mindset and start doing stuff just because you like, I feel it's quite necessary to do that, because otherwise you'll just burn yourself out. So yeah, long story short, I did do personal work, but you have to really pace yourself when you're also. It's my long story. There's a lot of emotions behind that one.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty cool, you know. What is your schedule like?
Very relaxed now. I'm gonna start a new next week, but I kind of want to keep it under wraps until everything goes well. When I was freelancing, my schedule was basically like when I was just working at a studio. Because when I started freelancing, like in the first month, I had the tendency to get out of bed pretty late, like 11, and then work till like midnight, and then also do personal work. And you can do that for a while. One of the hardest things about freelancing is that you really have to make you implement a certain routine and a certain schedule for yourself. So get out of bed early, even though you don't have to go to the office. I even used to put on my shoes, so I was like in work mode, not relaxed. It's like a little mind trick. But I had to learn. Really had to learn. Like okay, I'm freelancing from 9 till 6.
Yeah.
Or maybe a bit longer because I can kind of get a bigger break because I'm my own boss. But really just try to kind of match office hours so you don't become like a night crawling hermit and you don't see your friends anymore because you're always working in the midnight and sleeping in the so yeah. So my schedule was actually pretty standard.
Also, it's always a challenging thing, like if you're working from home, you know, getting up and because it's not like
because you don't really have to shower or put on pants. Please do.
yeah, you know, you're in your comfort zone. You don't have to, you know, if you don't want to, you don't have to really take a shower because your boss will tell you smell, or you don't have to, you know, you don't have to turn up at 9 a.m. because your boss might be like, oh, you know, why are you like 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late, you know? So it is a challenging thing, and it's something I would say I struggle with myself with, you know, keeping up a good work ethic, because you know some weeks, because I work full time now. I'm just like pickpacking, so I have to keep up a schedule. So usually I try to get up like 6 a.m. But now I've kind of changed that to 7 a.m. Because I felt like getting up earlier was kind of breaking the rest of the routine. So if I get up at 7, now I might only have an hour and a half to do stuff in the morning, but then at night I will feel all good to keep creating and painting and things like that as well. So it won't be so harsh to. I'm hoping that will work.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, because
you should try the putting on your shoes trick. Well, I did. It really worked for me. It was such a weird thing. Like, okay, when I have no shoes on, I'm in relax mode. But then you kind of train your brain. Like, now I've got to work. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good. I might try it. You know, put my shoes on, come in the room and paint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been doing it for a while, you know, getting up at 6 a.m., doing about an hour and a half, 2 hours painting, then get ready for work and go to work, and then get home, have tea and everything, and now I have like family time, so basically I would have between when I get home, which is about 6, till 8, when my baby's in bed, that's, you know, our little family time, and after that I'm painting from 8 till like 10, so that's another 2 hours every day, plus, you know, I get the weekends to do painting as well, which is great. But yeah, it's always been, especially like I've been sick off and on for the last couple of weeks, having cold, so it's been, you know, struggle getting up sometimes because I've been so sick, and things like that, but you know, I get through it, and I'm back, hopefully I'll be back on schedule in painting.
Yeah. yeah, it's very smart to have like that kind of schedule. So you also know like when you are gonna paint, and even more important, you know when you're not gonna paint. So because when I did not have a schedule, even when I was away from my brain thinking about work, because there wasn't really a clear line, I stopped working. So yeah, knowing when is also pretty valuable.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Like,
well, you might sit down and be like, I'm gonna pay, and then it's like 2 or 3 hours later, I haven't even, put a stroke on the canvas yet,
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, like you said, it's just, having a schedule, learning those things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it does take time and trial sometimes, like you trying the shoe method. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even really come up with that myself. I think I heard it from another friend. Because when I was freelancing, it also kind of gets like you're on your own in your home office and just working, not really any colleague. So another tip for me would be just set up like a Discord server, just connect there with your freelance. So I got the shoe method tip from one of my friends. Yeah,
Awesome.
we had like
Yeah.
this little Discord server where all the freelancers are. It's really helpful not to become like a hermit. I think that's like the biggest.
Yeah, that's like another reason why I kind of do these video chat things, is to get out there a little bit more, meet people like other artists like you, and other great people that I've met. To chat to, it's been great. It's great to chat to you guys and just kind of learn from your experiences, and have like these connections as well. Um, yeah, a little server is great to have. I try to like create my little server as well. I've got a little server, and I also run like 2 DeviantArt groups. Like one's like this Disney group that I kind of just took over because they were looking for someone to kind of look after it. So I decided to pop in and just kind of help them out. Which is, it's a pretty big group because it's got like 4,000 members and it keeps on growing slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps on growing, and yeah, it's great to see their works, and I just go through and kind of say yes, that can come in the gallery, or no, that can come in the gallery, things like that. And the other group's a bit smaller. It's just one I've kind of created on my own, which is great to see. I just try and find artists. Maybe I've talked to them, or just artists around in DeviantArt that are great. I think their work's pretty good, and it could, go in these groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think having like a bit of a community around you is very valuable. So in the beginning, I'm trying to learn everything on my own. There's really no need for that. Just connect with people. That's because my education at HKU was pretty worthless, apart from getting an internship at Gorilla. But the other big thing I gained from it was just like-minded friends who also want to do this, and that has been like one of my most valuable assets. Being able to talk to people about it, and it's not just work talk. People who know, like, I was gonna say the struggle, but that sounds a bit. But at least people who know what it's like to do this kind of stuff, and just to reflect, talk about your ideas and that kind of. And also play a lot of games. we play a lot of co-op games on the Discord.
Awesome.
Yeah, when you're working in games, you kind of have to like.
Do you play games often?
Well, not as often as I'd like, I guess, because freelancing and working on portfolio eats up a lot. So when I do game, it's mostly games that I can play with friends. So I like kind of combine social time with gaming, and we also talk a bit about sometimes, like, hey, how do you do this? We've played a lot of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds because that's a good like game where you can just connect with 3 other people in a team and kind of walk around. Don't really have to pay attention, but sometimes you have to when you're in a firefight. Mostly we play games that are not super intense, so you can just kind of socialize. Like Warhammer Vermintide 2 was a big one. Yeah. Those kind of games. I wish I had more time to play like single player games. I really love the first Red Dead Redemption. I do own a copy of Red Dead 2. Yeah, I'm single player games. I hardly play anymore because they just eat up a lot of time. I do watch my girlfriend play those games, and she's way better than me. So, I like to say we're in a playthrough of God of War now, and she's way better and faster, so I kind of get to experience the game a bit more. Like, so yeah.
Well, that's all good, I mean, yeah, I think for me, I'd like to play a bit more games, but obviously, I just love to paint, so I've just got to do that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been great chatting with you. Anything else you'd like to add or ask?
Not really. I think we talked mainly about freelance and pitfalls and what to do and kind of stuff. So yeah, people kind of, if they're thinking about freelance, they know a little bit more. Because when I started freelancing, it was really just I had no idea what it was, and it was a nice surprise. It went pretty. Yeah, let's stay connected, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining me, whether it was on Twitch or YouTube. Yeah, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Hopefully, yeah, you did take something out from this chat/video. Yeah, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.